Tracks in Time. The Appleton Heritage Society invites you to ride dual tracks in time. One is the last city streetcar ride in Appleton on April 6, 1930. The second is covering the same route as closely as possible in April 1998, the Wisconsin sesquicentennial year. We are at the car barn in the Flats in April 1930. 4 old-timers associated with the streetcars are here: John Stark, Wisconsin-Michigan employee; Herman Close, driver; Robert McGillen, conductor; and George Mensinger, Wisconsin-Michigan employee. The event was observed by Police Chief George Prim, man with the beard, and Elbert Ellis, Vice President and Manager of the Wisconsin-Michigan Power Company. From the barn, we proceed through the Flats, past Appleton Woolen Mills, and towards the Oneida Street Bridge. At that point, the streetcar tracks enter their own extended bridge. We approach and pass the Fox River Paper Company buildings. Up the hill, we pass the Congregational Church, a fine Richardson Romanesque building. In 1998, we start at the Edison Center, near the site of the old car barn. On Old Oneida Street, the black building on the right is Velmet Industries. On the left is the Trolley Car 86, where a group is rebuilding streetcars for historic use. On the Old Oneida Street Bridge, we notice that the track bridge is gone. The paper mill has been transformed into the historic Fox River Mill apartments and condos. We proceed up the hill, past the Lawrence University Arts Academy, and then must turn back, for the road ends. Overhead, we see the new Oneida Street Bridge. The Congregational Church is gone, replaced by a new structure on South River Street. Back on the trolley, we turn east on College off Oneida. We can see the spire of the Presbyterian Church in the distance. We roll past the Majestic Theater, Woolworth's, Geenan's Department Store, Heckert's Shoes, Shannon's, the Armory, the Presbyterian Church, and Masonic Temple. Next, All Saints Episcopal Church and the Lawrence College campus. The small stores near the chapel included Tra's store, beloved of the students for its chocolate donuts. The residential area beyond the campus was a quiet backwater. We will pass the homes of George Prim, the Galpins, Gocknauers, Zelkes, and Marstons, finally turning north on Rankin. All Saints Church still stands in Grace, but the Presbyterian Church is gone. The Masonic Temple has become the Outagamie County Historical Society. Lawrence campus begins, and we see the library and Kohler Hall. Some of the gracious old houses past the campus are now owned by Lawrence, such as Wilson House, admissions, and Scarf House for visiting scholars. Thus, the end of College Avenue is no longer a quiet backwater, for the bridge was built in 1960, destroying that ambiance. The trolley proceeds up Rankin, passing the homes of Joseph Griffith, professor of psychology at Lawrence, Schlafer of Schlafer Hardware, the Hellers, Buxtons, and Ogilvies. Back to the 90s, we find we cannot turn off on Rankin off College, so we go up Meade, over on Washington, and then Rankin. The area has not changed much, though like the college, most of the elms are gone, destroyed by the Dutch elm disease in the 50s and 60s. The tracks take us east of Pacific, passing the Catlins, Morgans, and Johnsons. We cross the old Pacific Street Bridge over Bel Air Park. At the curve, we see attorney Fred Harriman's house. Then ahead, Riverside Greenhouse, the chapel and gateway of Riverside Cemetery, which was designed by H.H. Waterman. It is the end of the line. This Riverside Cemetery and St. Joseph's are also the end of the line for many pioneers and old families of Appleton. The connection on the lines are reversed, the seats are switched, and we return to College via Rankin. Today, Pacific Street looks peaceful as we proceed over the new Pacific Street Bridge. The park below is now called Peabody Park, after a legacy from George F. Peabody, which became available in the 50s. The Harriman House is still there, as are the Riverside Greenhouse and the Riverside Cemetery. Gladys Tabor, who wrote of her girlhood in Appleton, mentions both places, and as well as downriver, the courting path along the Fox below the cemetery. Back in the 30s, we proceed along College Avenue, passing 2 drugstores, Voight's and Belling's, 3 grocery stores, including an A&P, the Elm Tree Bakery, Treasure House, Peerless Laundry, and other businesses. West of Oneida, we spot Conkey's, Schlafer Hardware, Kresge's, Pettibone Peabody's, the Elite Theater, and Glaudemann's department store. The dip is a partially filled-in ravine that originally stretched from the river to Pacific Street. Ahead we see the new Zilke building from 1930, the enlarged AAL building, and then on the site of Pettibone Peabody's, the City Hall. After All Saints, we reach the commercial area and find Conkey's now on the north side of College Avenue. The south side is rich in prairie-style buildings, as well as 19th century buildings by architects William Waters and Charles Hove. West of Oneida, after the Tudor Revival Zilke building, is a group of other 19th century buildings, including a Hove and a Walters, and with decorated touches such as lion's head and Flemish steps. Then there is the Art Deco Gibson building, also from the 30s. The Paper Valley Hotel of the 80s stretches for several blocks. The dip is still there, but filled in even more. On tracks again, we turn south on State Street, passing the drugstore from the 1920s, a brick building with terracotta ornaments, St. Mary's Church and School, and the residences of the Van Rysens, Quillens, Mortels, Wickmans, Glaudemans, St. Clair's, and Garvey's. Now, when we turn on State Street, the drugstore is still there, as well as a cluster of insurance companies. St. Mary's School and Church are also there, as well as the handsome restored grout home of the late Frank Council. Tracking again, we turn west at Prospect, viewing the Memorial Drive Bridge and the Alfred Priest residence. We proceed past the homes of the O'Keeffes, Charlie Pond of Pond Sports Store, Walter Zwicker of the Zwicker Knitting Mills, Van Roy's, and Haberman's. We run along the edge of Pierce Park until Mason. Off track, we turn on Prospect and find the Memorial Drive Bridge still there, but more difficult to spot because of trees. The Priest House is now known as Hearthstone. Most of the homes are still well taken care of, and Pierce Park still welcomes summer band concerts. However, something has been added on the southeast corner of Prospect and Mason, Jefferson School. The trolley has reached Mason, and we turn north, heading for College Avenue. We pass under the Chicago and Northwestern Railway Bridge with its off-center support which accommodates our tracks. Near St. Matthew's Evangelical Lutheran Church, we reverse and head back on Mason. Heading north on Mason today, we find the railway bridge still there, now used by Wisconsin Central. There is now a school connected with St. Matthew's. We ride our private track across the river, proceed into the flats, and enter the car barn, once more observed by Chief Prim and Mr. Ellis. We have participated in the end of an era of streetcars in Appleton that began in 1886. The Appleton Heritage Society wishes to thank Wisconsin Electric Company for preserving the historic film of the last trolley ride and for permission to use it during the Wisconsin Sesquicentennial celebration on May 16, 1998.